Hello, this is Greg Schultz from Server Storage IO, and I'd like to invite you to ride along with me on a VMware vCloud Air StorageIOlab test drive. Basically, what we're going to do here is go into VMware, into the vCloud momentarily, and take a look at something I've got set up. What I want to mention, a couple of things before we get going, is that this will be a multi-part. So there's the video that you're watching right now, and then there'll be at least one sequel to it, maybe more. But there's also a companion blog post that you can see over on my site, storageioblog.com. But anyway, here's what we're going to do. The objective is to create a virtual data center that looks kind of like this. In other words, it's going to have a MySQL database server along with a couple of application clients. These are going to be running on not physical servers, but rather these are going to be Windows 2012 R2 server clients. They're going to be running different workloads that we're going to use to simulate database activities, transactions, things like that. They're going to be working against a MySQL server, database server, also running on a Windows 2012 R2. These could be Ubuntu, these could be other things, but for simplicity, I'm just going to use Windows here. In my virtual data center, VMware vCloud actually consists of a couple of different regions. There's the US West, there's the UK region, there's Germany, Australia, and we're going to set our virtual data center up in the eastern United States, eastern region in Virginia. So here's what we're going to do now is this is the objective. This is what we want to do is set up a virtual data center, a database server with some different transactions, different applications, systems that are going to work against that database that we're going to configure with some storage. Now I already have part of this already set up, but let's do this. Let's go and take a look at vCloud Air. The address we're going to go to is right down there. And what I mentioned is that look in the bottom of this video. There's going to be some text, and on there's a link that will take you to a registration page on VMware vCloud Air that you can get some free service credits. In other words, what this means is that you can get some free time to actually go in and set up your own environment. Likewise, in the companion blog post at storageioblog.com, I'll also include the link where you can go set up your account and also get some of those free credits while they last. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's take a look here at the next aspect. So we go to vcloud.vmware.com, and this is what we see, the landing page. Hey, there's that mention about the free $300 trial, which is there's that URL that I mentioned, and I'll mention it again. It's in the StorageIO blog companion post. It's on the bottom of this video, or just go to storageio.com/promo, and I'll have some promos there. But anyway, here's what you've got. The dashboard. You can look around here. You can see what the service offerings are. Storage, virtual servers, things like that. Some great resource learning tools. How to use vCloud, different things like that to get you up and running real quick. Now here's something very, very important. If you have an existing VMware account, you can go in there and just start setting up your VMware vCloud Air environment right off the bat. But if you want to take advantage of some free trial time, in other words, up to $300, okay, that's where you're going to need to create a new account with a new username, new profile, etc. Clicking on those links I mentioned, and then that'll get you set up where you can get some hands-on time to learn more about everything here. All right, so here's what we're going to do is I want to log in. So this is what your login would look like, but I've already done that. So here we're going to fast track it. Now, as I mentioned, there's a couple of different regions. There's Australia, Germany, and the UK, California, Virginia. And I've chosen to set up a couple of different virtual data centers. I've got SIO VDC, and then I also have VDC1, Virtual Data Center 1. And currently I have 3 virtual machines in that environment. I have the MySQL server. I have a couple of app servers. And these are just Windows servers that have some workload generation tools for actually doing transactions against the database. Okay. As we can see, these are all currently running, and I can take a look here, and I see some of my contact information. I could come in here and actually make some configurations, add some memory, add some CPUs, things like that, as you go about as need be. Similar to if you're familiar with working in a regular VMware environment. Something else that I can do here is I can click on manage this all via the vCloud director. And I can also click on this over here and open a virtual machine console, which I'm going to do real quick here. And we'll take a look. And it'll take a moment for its connection to get created. And while it's doing that, see, it looks like a regular Windows server. And if I send it a Control-Alt-Delete, which is this little button right up top here, I can log in. And if I can talk and type, I can look in here, and there's my environment. Okay, so what I've got here is this is my database server, and I'm actually running some applications from it, as well as I have some other things running on those other servers that I mentioned. Since they're Windows, I can simply, or if they're Ubuntu, I could also RDP to them. But in this case, I can just RDP over to the different clients. In fact, what I'm going to do here is start these applications up. Now, for my applications, just to save time and to make things relatively simple, I'm using two tools. One is HammerDB, also known as Hamora. HammerDB, which I've got set up to configure to run against that MySQL database. That was a quick test there, so that one's already done. Another tool I'm using, another free tool that is Benchmark Factory, which you can go find on the Dell website or the Dell Quest. It's part of the Toad tools. And unlike Hammer, which can only run a couple of tests and gives you just a real basic info, I like using Benchmark Factory because I can actually do a lot more. I have a lot more options in terms of what kind of tests do I want to run, what are the different workloads, what do I want to do. I can run my own, I can create, plus I can get all kinds of different metrics. Okay, so in addition to logging in via the console per se, I can also access the that virtual environment, those servers, just as though they were any other desktop environment. So in this case here, I have on my existing laptop a RDP that I can connect to the server. In this case, I'm logging into the database server. And as we go right here, so in other words, if you're familiar with logging into Windows environments, this should all look pretty straightforward. Okay. Anyway, that's what I just wanted to give you a quick taste, a quick flavor. In other words, from an application standpoint, these are just regular Windows servers that are up and running. But what I want to do right now is just real quickly recap what it is that we're doing here, which is I want to go back to this screen here for a minute. So currently I have a couple of these already set up. And what was involved in all this was I picked a region. I took the US East region. I set up a VMware account because I wanted to make use of those $300 in free credits to set all this up. I set up my billing information, my preferences. I was able to apply the service credits. Then I went about creating my virtual data center, which included setting up the network gateways, the network address translation, NAT, and firewalls, as well as went about configuring my first virtual machines, both for the database servers as well as for the applications, going in there and setting up the Windows sort of things, loading my software, configuring, and things like that. Okay, where we're currently at with all of this is I want to come back to this screen here real quick. And as I mentioned, I have 3 systems already set up and running, which we took a look at. We looked at the MySQL, the app servers, which are out there. But let's come over here real quick. I want to show you what the view looks like from the vCloud director. So if you're familiar with vCloud, this should look real familiar. I've got my home. I can look at my cloud. And here I have some different virtual apps that are currently running. I also can take a look at my catalogs, both the default as well as any other templates. I come over here and do any of my administration things. I can drill down, take a look at Virtual Data Center 1, VDC, take a look at my different storage policies, Edge, and so forth. Okay, with that, I want to just recap a couple of things. Again, check out on the bottom of this video, there'll be a link on where you can claim click on a link where you can set up your account and get up to $300 in service time compliments of VMware while the offer lasts. Second is I'll also put that on a blog post with some extra details here about what I set up. And basically, what I want to recap here real quickly, because we're going to take a break and then we're going to jump into part two, where we'll take a look at a couple of different things here. But to recap, what we have done so far is this. We've created the VMware account, set up the billing information, applied the service credits, selected the region, created a virtual data center, defined the network gateways, the NAT. While I'm just touching on that right now, pay attention to that, because that is where pay attention when you're setting up your firewalls, your NATs, and things like that. That's what can really make things smooth, or if you mess something up there, well, you might chew up some time getting all that squared away. But anyway, I just wanted to recap what we've done. This is what's currently running out there in that environment that we just took a look at. We looked at the MySQL server. We've got the application clients out there. I've got Hammer. I've got Benchmark Factory running on those two top servers, going against the database server right now, doing some transactions, simulating some workload. So I set up my network. I set up my external access. I created my virtual machines for the MySQL, as well as two for the clients. I installed the MySQL software. I installed the Benchmark Factory that you can get from the Dell, the Toad site. Just Google Toad Tools Benchmark Factory. It'll pop up for free. Likewise, Google Hammer DB. They'll come up. Also, another tool that I have running out there for monitoring Spotlight on Windows. In the companion blog post that I've mentioned, I'll put the links where you can just click on those directly, as well as to the vCloud Air. So at this point, what I want to do is take a break here, and we're going to reconvene here in just a minute, and we're going to go into the second part of this video, which we'll go through things a little bit more. I'll show you a few little things here or there. I'll actually create a virtual machine. But hey, this wraps up the first video as part of this ride along as a part of a StorageIOlab VMware vCloud Air test drive. Okay, so get ready. We're going to start part two here in just a moment. Okay, enough said.